I've read your book, and so I know a little. I know your background because you wrote it in the book. But just to sketch in for your viewers who this may be the first video of you they ever see. You were, as I recall, a high-achieving A-level student, concertmaster in your orchestra, and went off with, I think you had a scholarship to some...
I had a half tuition scholarship to the University of Southern California, which was my dream school.
Which is a great school. Yeah. And then along the way, between high school and college, what happened to you?
Well, I started to lose focus. My junior year of college, I went to China with a small group of students. I was a biochemistry major. I dreamed about becoming a researcher or a doctor. And so this China trip was a good experience to see people in poverty and to learn about other religions, other cultures. The problem was, when I got back from China, I started to believe I was going to be the next Mother Teresa. I started to believe that I was going to have a significant impact on world poverty. It's a good thing to want to be like Mother Teresa. But when I came back from China, I couldn't focus on my studies anymore. I took the easiest classes that semester and got my worst grades, and I was spending all of my time planning a trip to go all by myself to one of the poorest regions in all of Nairobi, Kenya, Africa. When I got to Nairobi, my delusions became bigger and had a more of an impact on who I was. When I returned from Africa after spending 3 months in Nairobi, I registered for classes as usual, and I couldn't study anymore. With my best efforts, I'm hardly even able to pass my classes. I needed help. I needed to go to a doctor, go to a counselor, perhaps begin a medication. But I didn't know that I needed help. I couldn't see it. I had no insight. So here I was failing my classes. I was the scholarship student, the orchestra concert master. I'd done research as a student. And all of a sudden, my mind was a broken record, repeating. Thinking of nothing of Africa. My mind was like a cloud. And this is the time when I had my first psychotic break and was entirely unaware of it.
Right. And as I recall, for a period of time, you were homeless.
Yes.
And you also had some paranoid thinking that it wouldn't be a good idea for your parents to find you. And so even though I think your dad went out to California because parents couldn't raise you, you eluded him because of the paranoia. Do I remember that from your book correctly?
You remember that correctly. One of the saddest times of my life.
Right.
I had no address for a period of 4 years. For the first 3 years, I did a lot of hiding in libraries, showing the police my ID late at night, my student ID, computer libraries. One summer, I actually hid every night in a dormitory that I knew was not occupied during the summer, and I did that again actually for more than 2 years. Finally, after a 4th year, I was picked up by police and taken to be evaluated in the psych ward.
They could tell when they saw you that something was off.
It took 30 seconds for them to see that I was hearing voices all the time. But during this 4-year period of time, I was essentially afraid of my parents. I thought they were going to stop me from becoming a prophet. You know, I thought I had this great calling to change my world. And I was afraid of them. And my dad even came looking for me. He flew from Ohio to California. I wouldn't speak to them. He didn't know where I was. I'd been traveling. I went to Africa and I went to Thailand. He didn't even know if I was in the country. But he was so desperate to see me that he took a flight to LA anyway. And he thought he'd just walk the university campus looking for me. And
having met your dad, I'm not surprised because that's the kind of guy he is.
Both of my parents are wonderful. You know, all through my childhood, we never once had a really serious disagreement. My parents were always my biggest fans. My dad used to take me to violin lessons every week. He bought me a beautiful violin. You know, I grew up in a house on church property. My dad was a pastor. We had a tree house. We had our go-kart.
So it clearly was an unfortunate childhood that caused you to become to contract schizophrenia.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, my doctors believe that no matter what choices I've made in life, I was going to develop schizophrenia. So. But yeah, my dad came looking for me, and I saw him from a distance, and I still can't believe he even found me. And I turned around and ran the other way, and he wouldn't see me again for over 3 years until I was hospitalized. I remember I was hospitalized, and they said, "Do you want to speak with your parents?" And I thought, why would my parents want to speak with me? I've refused to speak with them for 4 years. And then my mom got on the phone and she said, "Bethany, you are my best friend. Not you were my best friend or you could be my best friend." She said, "You are my best friend, and I've missed you." So
That's wonderful.
So my parents were wonderful through all of this. My schizophrenia has been very genetic, not environmental.